Welcome back to the UFC Fight Night predictions, and today we have the worst fight card of all time. Let me pull down my mic so I can tell y'all how bad this fight card is. Okay, you know what? It might not be awful. This is one of the cards where it looks completely disastrous at first glance, but the fights actually end up being good. But I'm gonna run through this because I don't really want to spend 20 minutes breaking down Moicano versus Duncan. Kai Kamaka versus a character we haven't unlocked yet. I'm going with Kai Kamaka. You know, he's been unlocked. We played the level, we beat the challenge to get him. And so I think he's earned it. We got Kai Kamaka by decision. Kai Kamaka sucks, by the way. So if he loses, I will not be surprised. Dion Barbosa versus Melissa Gatto. Uh I need a coin. All right, cool. We're going with Dion Barbosa by decision. I think she's gonna be too much for Melissa Gatto. Up next. Okay, here's a fight I can actually break down. Azamat Bakoa versus Trayshawn Gore. Trayshawn Gore came out of ATT, Atlanta. So I'm familiar with the guy. I'm familiar. He does not know me, but I know him. And from what I've heard from that gym, Trayshawn Gore is good, man. He's good. And we've seen his fights. He has some crazy strength. We've seen him do some insane guillotines, and he has decent power on the hands. But he gets a bit tentative, and he's very easily hit. And unfortunately, a guy like Azamat Bakoev, who I don't believe is the greatest fighter in the world, but I don't really want to judge him on his loss against Yusri Balguri, because Yusri, as we see in his last fight, is insane, man. We knew he was good from kickboxing, but we didn't know he was this good, because on the Contender Series, he's a little washy, but the boxing is going to be the difference here. Azamat Bakoev is going to be too active on the feet, and Trayshawn Gore just doesn't move his head enough, man. He doesn't move his head enough. I'm going to go with Azamat Bakoev. Oh, also the wrestling. The wrestling advantage is in Azamat Bakoev's favor. Trayshawn Gore has good jiu-jitsu, but the wrestling isn't really up to par. So Azamat Bakoev, second round TKO. I think he's going to hurt him on the feet, and Trayshawn Gore is going to panic shoot, and Azamat Bakoev is going to end up getting the ground and pound TKO. Up next, Elise Pereira versus Haley Cowan. I'm going to go with Elise Pereira by decision. Haley Cowan's not that good, and Elise Pereira's all right. She looked horrible in her last fight, but that's not a good representation of her. If you've seen her fights in the regional scene, you know she uses her range very nicely. And she's 19, or she got signed when she was 19. She might be 20 now. But I think she's going to continue to improve, and I don't think Haley Cowan will, to be honest. So up next. Oh, I did not mean to do that to Darius Flowers. Lando Venata versus Darius Flowers. This is hard because they're both kind of washed. They're both washed. And what I didn't even know Lando Venata was still in the UFC. When's the last time he fought? Man, I feel like this guy's just been sleeping for years. Shit, I'm going Lando Venata. Unk, get it done, Unk. Get it done by decision, Unk. Let's go. Alexander Costa versus Stuart Nickel. I'm going Alexander Costa. Stuart Nickel is kind of a victim out there. So, Alessandro Costa. First round KO. First round. Up next, Guilherme Pat versus Thomas Peterson. I'm never picking Thomas Peterson to win a fight, and Guilherme Pat is in shape. Thomas Peterson's getting knocked out in the first round. Up next, running through it. We're on the prelims, boys. We're on the prelims. Or on the main card. This is the main card? Um, what? This is the main card. No, this is the worst card of all time. Okay, cool. Jose Delano versus Robert Roshala. I'm going with Jose Delano by decision. Up next. Tommy McMillan versus Manelo Zucchini. Tommy McMillan's good, but he's not great. I'm going to go Tommy McMillan by decision. I think he has power, and I think he has that pressure, and he's a gritty fighter, man. He's a dog in there. So I think he'll be able to outlast. Actually, round 3 TKO from Tommy McMillan. Manelo Zucchini isn't that good. Up next, Ethan Ewing versus Rafael Esteban. This is a good fight. My brain is telling me to go with Rafael Esteban, but my heart is telling me Ethan Ewing. Look at this build. Can we just acknowledge the build of Ethan Ewing for a second? Look at him. He reminds me of a graham cracker in his shape. So I think he's going to be able to use that to his advantage and end up putting the pressure on Rafael Esteban, especially with the boxing. Clean, using the basics. Jab, 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 right. Jab, 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 right. Jab, 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 jab. And Ethan Ewing's going to get the decision win. Rafael Esteban's probably the favorite here. Have not checked the odds. But I think Ethan Ewing is very good. I think he's very underrated. And even after that performance against Malcolm Wellmaker, people still don't give him his credit. So, Ethan Ewing, get it done. Oh, brother. Oh, brother. Abdul Rahman Yakhyev versus Victim Ribeiro. Abdul Rahman Yakhyev, they're feeding him another can. They're feeding him another 100K bonus. So congrats to Abdul Rahman Yakhyev for your 100K bonus for your knockout in the first round. Up next, Verna Jandiroba versus Tabitha Ricci. This is the co-main. This is the co-main event. It's time to pack it up. It's time to pack it up. Why is this the co-main event? I might make a whole separate video of just how bad some of the cards have been in the Paramount era. But I don't honestly, the pay-per-views, I don't think have been that bad. I think they've always been bad. So, compared to what they could be. I'm going to go with Verna Jandiroba. I think she's just better on the ground. And I think that's where this fight's going to take place. Tabitha Ricci, she's all right. We've seen her have some trouble on the ground, though. And Verna Jandiroba, that's her specialty. So, yep, Verna Jandiroba by decision. Moving on to the main event. Good fight. But this should be like the prelim headliner of a main card. Or no, not of a main card, of a pay-per-view. Or like the third fight on a fight night or the co-main. Not the main event. Especially not with Chris Duncan. In all respect to Chris Duncan, his fights are incredibly entertaining. I think he's a decent fighter. But he just hasn't earned that spot yet. But, you know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. And honestly, leading up to this fight, not that I've been paying much attention to it, to be honest. But leading up to this fight, I've been thinking Renato Moicano is probably going to end up getting on the ground somehow. Probably getting a trip up against the fence or something and end up controlling, maybe even submitting Chris Duncan. But now, after seeing this heartwarming video of Chris Duncan talking about his late mother, I'm going with Chris Duncan. Is that logical? Absolutely not. But you have to understand, Renato Moicano just lost to Beneil Dariush. Just recently. Beneil Dariush. And Chris Duncan has toughed it out against guys like Matsush Rebecki, who I believe is solid. I believe he's solid. Chris Duncan, man, he has good power on the feet. He's a little slow. But so is Renato Moicano. And on the ground, I think Chris Duncan's going to have the strength advantage. Renato Moicano will have the advantage in the jiu-jitsu department. But Chris Duncan still has potential to submit him. We've seen Renato Moicano get caught in guillotines before. I know that was back at featherweight against Brian Ortega, but still, we've seen him get submitted recently against Islam Makhachev. Now, I know it's Islam Makhachev. He submits everyone, but still, we have seen him in these compromising positions, and Chris Duncan has a nasty guillotine. I think Chris Duncan's probably going to try to keep it on the feet, and he might do successfully. And if the opportunity presents itself, he's pulling that gilly. Don't be silly, jump the gilly. That's what Chris Duncan's going to do. But overall, this is a 5-round fight. I think Chris Duncan's going to get it done by 3rd or 4th round TKO. I think eventually, as Renato Moicano gets a little careless, and as he starts to get desperate for those takedowns, and he leaves himself open coming in, I think Chris Duncan's going to catch him with something in the pocket, and put him down, and maybe, you know what? Chris Duncan submission. I think he's going to get the sub after he hurts Renato Moicano. Chris Duncan submission. Final prediction, round 3, late round 3. Chris Duncan, welcome to the rankings. Those are my picks for UFC Fight Night. Moicano versus Duncan and the Meta Apex. I'll see y'all later. Peace.